Hi, welcome to the Mountain Education Charter High School family. We are so glad that you have decided to become employed with us, and we just look forward to working with you and seeing you make a difference in the lives of our students. My name is Kayla Steele. I'm your trainer for today. We're going to be covering best practices for the MECHS Facilitated Blended Learning Model Classroom. Just a little bit about me. I started with Mountain Education Charter High School about 9 years ago. I started in the math classroom at the Habersham Mountain Ed site and have since transitioned into an instructional technology and training role. First, I'd like to just take a moment to remind you to find your why and bring it with you every single day when you come to Mountain Ed. You know that we serve a special type of student. We serve mostly at-risk students who have either dropped out of high school already or we're planning to drop out of high school and then transferred to us instead. But they really need your passion and your love for education and making a difference in the lives of students. And so if you'll just find that and bring it with you every day when you come, I know that you'll do great things for our students. I also just want to briefly talk to you about the difference between a traditional day school and Mountain Ed. You know, at your traditional day school, you're providing all of the instruction. And through this instruction, you're also determining the student's pace. The lessons that you plan for that day or that week are determining the pace that the student is on. You're also grading the majority of the work that your students turn in. You have a whole lot of whole group and small group interaction, and you also have a lot of record keeping and paperwork. Mountain Ed is very different from that. So even though you are a teacher at both your traditional day school and Mountain Ed, your job description is very different. At Mountain Ed, we have almost entirely an online curriculum, so there's never any lesson planning for you. Also, the students are self-paced. Our classrooms are broken up into content areas, and your students will be on any course that is in that content area at any time, and they can be on any module in any of those courses at any time in that content area classroom. The majority of the work here at Mountain Ed is graded online. We do have a few supplemental assignments, like writing assignments, that you may have to hand grade, but the majority of the work is graded online. Also, you have mostly one-on-one interaction with students. Because our students are at different paces in different areas in their classes, you're mostly going to just be working with them wherever they are in that class. Also, there's very little paperwork for you. So you can see that there's a big difference between your job at day school and your job here at Mountain Ed at night. And basically the way I like to think of it is that Mountain Ed is freeing up a lot of those traditional day school duties and just allowing you to come here and work one-on-one with students and just really make a difference in their lives. We really just want your 100% focus on our students. Okay, I like to mostly keep things positive, so we only have one slide of don'ts here, but these are very important, and so we need to get through them. Number one, don't assume that a student can't learn or grow. I know that we serve a special population of students, very at-risk students. Not only were they not successful in their traditional high school, but they also may have a lot going on in their personal lives that is a barrier for their success. But just remember that our students can learn and they can grow, and they really need your support and that relationship with you so that they can move forward and have that growth. Also, don't wait for a student to ask you for help. This is a really big deal at Mountain Ed because so many of our students just sit at those computers and they don't really want to ask the teacher for help. And if they'll just keep there, they'll stay in that same spot and they'll be stuck all night long if we don't stop and check on them and see how they're doing and make sure that they don't need help. They may not ask you, so don't wait for the student to ask you. Don't allow students to use cell phones in class. This can cause several issues. Number one, it's a distraction, but it's also a tool that the students use to cheat. So just make sure those cell phones are put away. Also, don't use your cell phone while you're at Mountain Ed. We want your 100% focus on our students when you're here, so just put your cell phone to the side. Don't provide help to students on pre-test. This is very important because all of the online courses at Mountain Ed are prescriptive, and so the students work through the pre-test, and that can exempt them from modules and lessons within the unit if they already know that material. So we don't want you providing help to them because we want to make sure that they see the lessons and the material for anything that they don't actually know on their own. Also, don't give the students answers when assisting on a post-test. Make them find the answer. Don't work the problems for them. So we want them to show us what they know. Don't sit at your desk doing non-MECHS related activities. This may sound kind of silly, like of course I'm not going to do other things, but it's very easy to get bogged down by lesson planning at day school or turning in grades at day school and think, hey, my kids are working quietly, I can just sit at my desk for a few minutes and do this. But we really want you to be 100% focused on Mountain Ed and our students when you're here. So any other things that you have going on, just put those aside when you walk in the door and come in prepared to work with our students and be 100% focused. Also, don't change student grades in GradPoint without leaving that private note. As you learned in your training on GradPoint, you can change student grades if you've worked with a student and you feel confident that the student has mastered that material. However, just like in day school, we want you to document, document, document. So if you make a change to a student's grade, then just make sure to leave that private note. It's very important. Also, don't save your username and password on the MECHS Classroom Teacher computer. Just remember that any time that you make a change in GradPoint, you're signing that. There's a timestamp and a name stamp anytime you make some sort of change. So if you're all logging in under a remembered name, when you log into a computer, it will have a little box that says remember me. We don't want to do that because then you'll all be making changes under the same student or same teacher account. So just make sure you're always logging in under your own teacher account and you're not telling the computer to remember you each time. All right, moving away from the don'ts, moving to the do's. We have a lot more do's, so many that I had to put them on 2 pages. So the first do is, of course, do believe in your students and make every effort to facilitate their growth and learning. We know they can grow. We know they can learn. We want to see them walk across that stage at the end of their time here at Mountain Ed. Do take ownership over all of your students' education, including their progress and EOC scores. This is really important for Mountain Ed because in your traditional day school classrooms, when your students take an EOC course, those grades, those scores are tied directly to you because you are their teacher of record. At Mountain Ed, we don't have one teacher of record because all of our teachers are part-time. You may work Monday nights, another teacher may work Tuesdays, or you may work Mondays and Wednesdays. So students aren't tied specifically to one teacher. However, we still want you to take ownership over any student that steps in your content area classroom and their growth in every course that they take and their scores on EOCs in that classroom. So hold your fellow teachers, your fellow content area teachers accountable for what they're doing on their nights, and you hold yourself accountable for what's happening on your night, and just take ownership over any student that steps into your content area classroom. Also, do know your content area. I know that when I was first in the Habersham site math classroom, I was a lot less confident in pre-calculus and statistics than I was in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. So I actually enrolled in those courses as a student, worked through them to make sure that I was able to help the students in our classroom when they had issues or troubles in either of those 2 subjects. So feel free to log in and ask to have a login created for you and go ahead and work through any courses that you don't feel confident. Maybe you've never taught them in day school before. Also, do your part to ensure that your students are ready for their EOCs. Follow all the EOC review protocols and just make sure that your students are gaining the knowledge they need as they're working through the course. Monitor student progress consistently through formative assessment, GradPoint, Leonardo. We want to make sure that you are checking your students' progress in the classroom. Also, move around the classroom, checking with each individual student at least once every 20 minutes. We want to make sure that you're interacting with every student in your classroom. Do also work one-on-one with your students, especially during the lesson and quiz portion of GradPoint. I know it's very easy to just let the students work through the lessons and quizzes on their own, and then you don't really know if they haven't learned the material until they get to the post-test and they fail it and they have to retake it. Well, what we want you to do is ensure that they are learning the material through the lesson and quiz portion. So sit with them, work with them, discuss with them while they're in that lesson and quiz portion, so when they get to the post-test, Hopefully they're passing that all on their own. They're not having to retake it. And just think of it as in your day school class. You teach your students through your lessons, and their post-test, they're supposed to show you what they've learned. Think of it the same way here at Mountain Ed. Let's try to work with them as much as possible during the lessons, and hopefully they can pass those post-tests all on their own. Also, do leave that private note with an explanation anytime you make a change to a student's grade. We want that documentation for many important reasons. Also, be consistent with data entry, especially when entering grades in Leonardo. As you learned in your technology training, Leonardo is keeping up with time data for our students when they're clocked into the building, and also when they're clocked into each course and when they're working in each course. If you're not entering that time data if you're not entering test scores as soon as they complete a test, then that time data is going to be skewed because it's going to show them still working on the previous module even though they've actually moved forward to the next module. Also, involve your site administrators anytime you're dealing with disruptive students or students who just aren't making progress. Your site administrators are your instructional leaders in the building, and they are here for your support in any way that you need them. So don't forget to involve them when you need them. Also, check your MECHS email at least once a day, and try to check it even when it isn't your night to work. A lot of times your site administrators are sending out very important information through those emails, so if you can just try to check it once a day, we'd really appreciate it. And lastly, do communicate regularly with other teachers, especially in your content area. Each site likes to do this a little bit differently. Some sites just like to leave a notebook on the table and they write notes to each other through that. You may like to do a Google Hangout or an email thread or a living Google Doc that you communicate with each other through. But things that you might want to communicate are, let's say a student's really struggling one night and you've worked with them very hard but you haven't really made much progress. You may want to leave a note for tomorrow night's teacher to make sure that teacher picks up where you left off and continues to help that student get through. You also may want to let other teachers know if you've caught a student cheating or if you've had a disruptive student so they know to keep an eye out for the same types of behaviors. You may also want to leave a note if a student had great success so tomorrow night's teacher can come in and say, hey, Miss So-and-so told me that you passed 2 post-tests last night and that you were working so hard. I'm so proud of you. So just make sure you're communicating because you don't necessarily see each other because you work on different nights. Make sure that you find some way to communicate with your fellow content area teachers. This is just a part of our faculty handbook, and it is approved by our board, and so it's very important to just read through the faculty handbook and make sure you understand it. But the very important part that I want to point out in this is that it is the expectation of MECHS administration that teachers interact and formatively assess each student approximately every 20 minutes. So that's just saying that we want you up in that classroom, we want you walking around, checking on the students, seeing how they're doing, and making sure that they're making progress. This is one more thing that we've provided each classroom at Mountain Ed. It's just a simple classroom daily self-evaluation checklist. It's just things that you should be doing every day in the classroom. These are actually laminated in your classroom, so it's not anything that you have to submit. It is solely to help you. And so you can use an expo marker, you can check things off every night, and then when you're ready to go home, you just have to erase it. But it's really just a simple reminder of what is expected of you when you're in the classroom so that you can make sure you're doing everything you need to be doing to improve our students' education and give them the best education possible. Also, the central office is your support system. We are here to, we work on the curriculum for you. We try to make the technology as easy as possible for you. We want your feedback. We want you to know that we are doing everything that we can to support you so that you can just get in that classroom and work with students. So anytime you need anybody at the central office with your new hire paperwork, you were given a contact list, just call us. We're here for your support. And lastly, we're all in for MECHS. When you walk in the door at Mountain Ed, we want you 100% focused on our students. I do realize that this is a part-time job for all of you. But remember, we don't give out that part-time diploma. These are full-time, quality, full Georgia high school diplomas that just like any other high school would give. So when you are here, when it is your night, remember to be all in for our students and be 100% dedicated when you are here, because these teachers need your dedication and they need to build those relationships with you while they're here. So just be all in for our students. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for our students. Thank you for becoming a part of the Mountain Ed family. You truly will make a difference in so many lives by working here. You just can't even imagine the joy at a Mountain Ed graduation when there are so many students that we serve that are the first student ever in their family to ever graduate from high school, and they move forward to do great things in life. So just know that every bit of energy that you give at Mountain Ed is appreciated, and it's truly making a difference in the lives of our students. So welcome to Mountain Ed, and we look forward to working with you.